2020, and we about to turn this thing upside down. You're listening to Success in the Evening with Coach Ricky Terry. I got members of the flight crew. Man, I wish y'all could see us. We got a packed house up in here.
Packed flight.
Bro, hey, man, we already done hit 30,000 feet.
Hello, wait. Special cargo. Eagle is on. Eagle is on the plane. Eagle is in the air. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an absolute. You know what? Actually,
Okay, we're gonna hold on. I know you're excited. I know you want to do it. Hold on. Because, but no, we got some conversation we got to finish.
Let's get to it. We running out of it.
We got the top brass, if you want to call it that. Miss Sonia Pruitt, who is the captain. My sister, Captain Sonia Pruitt, Director of Community Engagement for the Montgomery County Police Department. Big old title means she gets down in the weeds with the community. And the one thing I got to say to you up front, this is our first time meeting, but I really appreciate your ability to keep it straight. You kept that straight. You didn't hide. You acknowledged there's some people who could do better. Just like I'm gonna say there's some areas in the community where we can do a lot better than we're doing. I remember growing up as a kid that if you wanted to be a policeman or a fireman, that was an honorable job to have.
It still is.
It's stacked up with being a teacher, which is one of the most underappreciated jobs. And I don't know anyone who does not want a police officer to be there when they call them. And so in 27 years, what was it like coming through the ranks? What was that like?
It was outstanding for the first 15.
Outstanding?
Yes.
And what happened after the 15?
I always say that black officers have something that occurs that becomes their choice point about whether they're going to relinquish themselves to the power of the blue line, or whether they're going to make a decision that's honorable for themselves and others.
Let me see if I can cut through this. You tell me if I'm wrong. It's after watching enough brothers getting beat upside the head and stuff being put into the record that isn't true, that you have to stand up and say that did or did not happen, or it was an excessive or not excessive, and you have to decide, do I protect my brothers because we're all out here, or do I protect my community because
we're here to protect them?
Well, but just for the record, those things do not have to be mutually exclusive. But you are forced into making a decision many times. And my decision, mine wasn't as glaring as what you just described. It was a little more.
Tell it.
Keep your job, sister. Keep your good city job.
Just so you know, I don't have a problem talking about anything that I've experienced in the police department. I'm not. I feel like when you speak the truth, it's just the truth. They're just facts. And I had a situation where I was a corporal, and I told someone who was who worked on my shift that he had done something incorrectly. The procedure was incorrect. He made it about race, and from that, there was a huge fallout that I was a racist. And then when I tried to protect myself, I was called a rat. It was eye-opening for me because I loved everybody, and I still do. I love everybody I work with. I love the community. I mean, I'm like, why can't I just love everybody?
Well, you came in here with love.
Right.
I ask that same question constantly. How come I can't love everybody?
I mean, she had a 9mm, but she had love.
So that situation was used to target me, and the longer it went on, which it still goes on,
I can believe
the more I realized that this was more about me as being a black woman. Black women in policing, although you see many of us, and many of us doing great things, we're probably the least supported in the industry. So then I had again to make a decision. Do I stand by and see things that are occurring that are not right, whether they're race-based or not? Because they don't have to be race-based. When you are part of law enforcement, the thought is that everybody thinks the same way.
Mm-hmm.
We back the blue. We have the blue line. Well, I was black before I was blue.
Come on.
Mm.
And so,
Well, can we just say I'm
Yeah.
tired of my people being on the end of black and blue.
yes, and so I see us as black officers. Our job is to protect everyone. When I talk about I'm the chair of the National Black Police Association, yes, that's our focus as an organization. But really, what we should be doing is protecting everyone, because when you protect everyone, everyone gets protected.
Everyone gets protected. And in our community, I think 2020, someone has to say enough is enough.
Sure.
And a lot of times our communities have been asked to forgive, forget, trust again. What is Montgomery County doing to earn that trust?
Well, so some of the things I talked about earlier, but we have a new police chief. He's a past president of the National Black Police Association.
So you following in big steps, huh?
Yes, and so he understands the dynamics of what's going on with our community. And I think he does a great job he has done a great job during his career, more than 30 years, of building relationships. Relationship building is really important. Relationship building builds trust, and then as a police department, you are legitimized because of the trust that you built. So I think we need to just continue to keep that in mind, continue to stand for right.
Mm-hmm.
We know the difference between right and wrong. Ain't no fence straddling that needs to be going on here, and we need to stand always for right.
I just wanted to speak back to, you were saying how that one incident stayed with you and stayed on your name, and I think that's almost a perfect metaphor for how the police in general have been looked at in America since probably, what do we want to say, 2012? Because I know for me and a lot of my generation, because I ended up asking this question, how many young black people knew what it meant to be black in America, and at what time did you find out? Because I know me personally, I didn't get it, in a sense, until Trayvon Martin's passing, unfortunately. That was like the real eye opener, because when you're a kid, it's you wake up, oh, my skin's brown, his skin's a little lighter, her skin's a little, it's just
that was a hard day in our house. I won't forget that. Elementary school, I mean, it's on every television station. We're talking around about it. We're one of those tight-knit families where we talk about it, and I'm having to explain why this child has been taken by an adult who was not a cop, but pretending to be some type of authority. And what should I do if I'm walking through the neighborhood, and I live in a decent neighborhood, and I get approached by a non-police officer? What should I do? So there are a lot of things, I remember telling a Caucasian lady at my work, and I love her, she loved my son, I won't call her name out, she didn't give me permission, but I remember saying to her, you don't know the fear of when those lights go off behind you and you are African American. I know that fear. I look in the mirror all the time to see if that cop is going to turn around. I've had 2 cops look me in the eye as I passed them. Both of them, unfortunately, were Caucasian, and they both turned around and they came and stopped me because I didn't look away, because I wasn't intimidated. I want to say to every police officer, every black man is not thinking about harming you. We are not thinking about you. We're going about our business, but we are tired of being treated like boys. We are tired of being treated like we are ignorant to the fact that you are establishing your manhood somehow over us. And the only thing that is keeping you from dealing with what any other man that approached another man in that manner is the fact that you carry a badge. That's the only thing that separates you, and we need you to de-escalate that. And I will use every platform I have to tell the brothers and sisters in our community, bring it down some, because not every police officer is intending you harm.
And you know what? I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Ms. Barr.
So I can understand when you said you didn't realize, everybody's black, everybody was brown. I grew up in Alabama, so I knew.
I'm from the South.
So I knew about the KKK. So now that things are definitely taking a turn for the worse, I worry about my sons. Our son, there's 3 of them. And I always say, you know what? Make sure you call me when you get there.
And
Be aware of your
that's a shame.
surroundings. Be aware of where you're surrounded. Anything go off, you need to run. You need to move. You
And
don't
you-
need to see what's going on. You just need to move.
Get out of the area.
That's
Right.
the exact same thing that's happened since, because and you were saying, you see, knowing about it, right, and being near it, around it, or living through it are so wildly different. You know, my generation knows about the September 11th disaster, but living through it, those of you who lived through it, it's a whole different thing. So the change into our post-terrorism country is really real. But and Lord, now I've lost my train of
Don't
thought.
worry. Don't worry.
It happens to us all the time.
Okay.
Because we got more history.
Yeah.
We got see we got
Girls,
we
what's
got
that?
yeah, y'all partners, aren't you?
Oh, she be stalking and harassing me. Did I say that?
You said that off the air. You actually gonna say it on the air? Wow. Well, Brother DePaul, when we called on you to hit a home run, we just knew
I just want the big boss to know I'm working out
He
here.
hit the grand slam.
you hit a grand slam this time.
I just want everybody to know that, you know,
Now we get
I begged for the T-shirt, but you know, I'm happy to be
we
here.
may have to get you a T-shirt. now, Darren, you brought us the first. Darren, you brought us the first black female, okay, for the police department in Montgomery County, the Captain Sonia Pruitt. What you gonna do to
Bruh, at the other end of the bookshelf,
at the other end of the bookshelf?
the accompaniment,
The compliment.
the compliment
The compliment.
is the first female black fire chief. Montgomery County.
Yes. You gonna give us her name, brother?
You want me to introduce myself?
Do you remember your name?
No.
Are y'all related?
I was going to ask the same question. That was
Cause y'all got the same kind of little
Y'all got
thing.
too much energy.
we may be related somewhere down there.
Go ahead and tell it.
Okay, so as I always tell people, I am not the chief. I am a chief
Okay.
with Montgomery County.
Right
Yes,
now,
I
today.
am. Here you go. I am the first African American female to achieve the rank of first captain, then battalion chief, and now assistant chief.
Wow.
in Montgomery County.
I'm excited.
And so Sonia and I are bookends because we serve in public safety,
Mm-hmm.
and we have another sister. I'm not going.
I just saw this. PG. We're talking
Well,
about.
yeah. Well, you know what?
Just happened in PG.
It is in Prince George's County. The chief of Prince George's County Fire Rescue is an African American female, but in the DC metropolitan area in general, we have in the last 5 years have really stepped up our females of color, the presence. I think, and I could be wrong, I didn't research this, but like you look at Howard County, for example, the fire chief is a female, the police chief is a female. And
Wow.
so we're here. We come, you guys. You guys.
You didn't get your name.
I didn't get my name.
You didn't
Okay.
get your name. Get your name.
Sorry about that. So my first name is Dorcus, Dorcus. That's biblical,
Mhm.
but most people call me D. And my maiden name, which people still use a lot, is Howard, but my last name is Richards.
So is it Captain Dorcas?
Assistant Chief.
Assistant Chief.
Assistant Chief D. Howard Richards.
Assistant
That's how I am
Chief
affectionately
D.
known.
Howard
Yes.
Howard Richards. Go ahead, do it again. Do it again. That's your girl. Do it again.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, that signature must be something else.
Okay,
Yes, it is.
these two, one police and one fire. These two are something
Well,
else.
you gotta look at the fact that, oftentimes in public safety, where there's fire, police are there, and when police have the event, there are firefighters there also. So we've literally come up through the ranks together, and we have encouraged each other along our journey.
Look, a little anecdotal thing here.
Okay.
When I was competing to become a sergeant, and we had what we call an assessment center, it's an oral exam.
Mhm.
She was an employee I had to counsel.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I do remember that. So again, in public safety, and I can't leave out corrections.
Go ahead.
In public safety, we share a lot of the same resources when it comes to promotional exams and things like that. So, when it comes to me taking a promotional exam, if we have to have some outside influence or an outside character to play a role, we'll reach over to the police. When the police are doing their promotional exams, they'll reach over to fire, and so we do a lot of back and forth.
But you now, and she's already proven she's crazy.
Yeah.
She walked in the door just crazy.
Yeah.
But
That's true.
you
That's
run,
true.
you and your people run into burning
When other
buildings.
folks are running out.
Everybody else is
Oh,
running out.
right.
First of
I
all,
can't see it like that. You don't see it
She
like
said,
that.
I can't do that.
Well-
Wait, you missed it. You missed it. It went by you.
What happened?
She said that she couldn't do the running into the fire thing,
And I don't
but
want
she
to see
will
nobody
will
shoot.
have them shoot at
I
her.
don't know.
Ray,
That's not okay.
I would rather have someone shoot at me than run into a
Yeah.
burning building.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you.
Yeah, I know your limitations.
First of all, we're laughing and we're joking, but we are deadly serious when I say to you, I hope I can find a way to let you know how proud I am.
Oh, well, thank you.
Because, first of all, my son's grandfather
Okay.
was a fireman in New Jersey.
Uh-oh.
He spent 21, 22 years in the Air Force. He came out and still wanted to serve, and so he
That's
worked
the
in
story
New
right
Jersey
there. I will
as
tell
a
you that.
volunteer firefighter.
Yeah, that.
And
Now
he was
that
in what
is the
service?
story.
What service was he in?
We're not even going to go
What
back
service
to
was he in?
that. He was in Air Force.
That's what
But-
I'm talking about.
But the fact that you put your life on the line for other people's property,
Mhm.
for other people's lives, and the fact that you came up through the ranks. Now we talk about the police. There is no tougher rank to come up through than to be in charge of firemen.
Yep.
To even be on a fire truck, because they one, don't think you're strong enough, and two, don't think you are bright enough.
Yes.
Okay, no, we ain't even gonna say smart. We're gonna call you're not bright enough to combat a fire. And then three, you're a female who happens to be a female of color. So you decided, both of you really decided, you're gonna buck all of the norms, and you aren't just gonna be on the team. I like the fact that you
You're
made
gonna
a
lead the
decision. You're gonna lead the
I
team.
love
Well, but it
I love
it just seemed to me like the next logical step.
Okay, to you it seems like that.
It just seems like I should be in command here.
Like,
If I'm gonna give you my life,
because I was looking at people. I was looking as I came up through the ranks. I was looking at people,
Okay.
and I was saying, I know I'm smarter than that.
And you heard that voice, right?
Hey,
that's the exact
first
same
of all,
voice that went
she
through her
said-
head.
She said fool, and then they over there high-fiving like, I got something on my side.
So look, that's that backhanded comment you give, like, you know, I wouldn't have done it like that. But I'm like, okay, good job. I
So-
wouldn't have did it that
So
way.
what was it like? First of all, how long have you been a firefighter?
Oh Lord, is it 30 years? I don't know. It's something like that. I've got about 30. Yeah, I've got 30.
So guys, when I told you we were sitting with history, I wasn't lying to you. And if you're a little girl and you're listening today, yes, you
Do
can be a
this.
you
Come
can be a
on,
police
girl.
officer.
Come on, girl. Come on.
Girl
Now,
power
And
thing.
listen, and since I'm in Chief Green's backyard, respect to Chief Tiffany Green. I mean, she is a more than, right? And so many, it's people like her who set the pace.
Tell us about Chief Tiffany Green.
So Chief Tiffany Green is the current fire chief of Prince George's County Fire Rescue, and since I am over in her territory, I have to give
Showing her some
shout-out.
love
Did you
and some
call her and tell her you
respect.
were gonna be in the neighborhood?
I did not
Oh,
do
you
that.
should have done that.
I'm here, Chief Green.
Hey, but what was it like? Well, first of all, why did you become a fire person?
You know, it's a complicated story. I didn't know that that's what I wanted to do. I kind of fell into it by accident.
A burning building, you fell into it
By
by
No,
accident.
no,
By accident.
come on now.
Well,
Wait a
no,
minute.
the truth. Go ahead.
Well, at one point, she was working two jobs. She was working at NIH,
That's true.
and then she was doing the fire department thing as a part-time.
That's true.
And so
Other way around. Other way around.
Other way around. So she was doing the NIH part-time. So she could have gone either way. And so she
That's true.
she had decided. Look, she's talking about that's true. Like, I wasn't there. I was there.
just for us for the non-DC
I'm sorry.
people, NIH
The
is
National
National
Institute of Health.
Big
Right.
time.
And
so
that's
she's
right.
smart.
That,
Yeah.
yeah.
I worked
the
there
national-
too, at the
that-
Dental Institute.
Yeah, I was at the National Library of Medicine.
Hey, show.
Okay,
Bring
did
it,
y'all
show.
not
Bring
know
it,
this?
show.
Are y'all discovering?
Wait a minute.
No, I'm just asking.
How long have y'all been friends?
20 years.
And y'all,
Talking
look,
about NIH.
look what you find out at Success in the Evening.
That's where her success was.
So for me, it really was because I knew I had an interest in my community. I knew I liked getting involved. And I also was an athlete, you know, so, and the concept of policing, public safety, policing, fire department stuff, it's all kind of based on a team concept, being a part of a team. And physically, I was like, well, if I could figure this out physically, then the rest, I can get the rest.
And that's a serious thing. So
Right.
when you made your choice, how? Where were
So
you?
I started, listen, it was a crazy story. I have to get success probably in another evening to tell the whole story, but long and short, I was in college and looking to get my master's and trying to figure out how can I get my master's and have somebody else pay for it? And that's the
And
truth.
not go to the army?
Right. So I realized that if I was in public safety, if I did something in emergency medicine, so I was looking at becoming an EMT initially. I figured if I became an EMT, then I could would be picked up by some sports team and could kind of work my way through being what do you call those people who are a manager, a trainer. That's what I'm trying to say.
For an athletic team?
For an athletic team.
Professional
So I figured,
trainer.
right. And one of the qualifications back in the dark ages for becoming a trainer was you needed to have your emergency medical technician license.
Okay.
And so I was looking at opportunities to get that license, and I found it that if I became an emergency medical technician, and oh, by the way, local fire departments were allowing you to be a volunteer, and they would train you to get your EMT license. They would do that for free. So they, if I spend a little bit of time with them, they would, in exchange, help me get this emergency medical technician license.
So that's where I was going.
Yeah.
So if you're listening and you're wondering how do you get 27 years in, how do you get 30 years in, how do you move to the rank of leadership, it starts with a plan.
With a plan.
I didn't have a plan.
Okay, scratch the plan.
But then after, so it was a kind of a barter system, if you will. So for my volunteer time, for me volunteering at the fire station, they then were giving me these free classes. And I liked it. I liked that adrenaline and that excitement and that being in that environment where I was going out in a right now situation and helping people.
Yes.
And I kind of fell in love with that. And then I think I had some great mentors. So my story is not like, I don't feel like I had to scratch and dig and claw. I'm just going to say, from my perspective, God really put some really, really strong, influential people in my life who looked like all kind of people. They were male, they were female, they were black, they were white, they were brown. And they really, I was just in the right place at the right time.
And go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, because I'm sure, there are a lot of people out there like that, whether or not they know it at the time or not. There are people out there like that. How do you not get complacent in that? Because there's some people meet it very early on.
You mean complacent? It helped me understand what you're asking.
Well, see, when you have that type of situation where God puts people around you, as you grow older, you look back on it and say, hey, even back then, at 3 years old, at 2 years old, I was around people that set up how my life ended up being. So how do you not, if you recognize that early on, how do you not?
I don't know that I knew it when I was actually in it. As you get older and you gain a little bit of wisdom and understanding, you realize, I realized that there was a plan for me even then. And that was good stuff for me. So I had people mentoring me. So even though I came in just as an emergency medical technician, people said, hey, did you consider adopting this, firefighter concept? And you can do this, and you can do it. By the way, you were an athlete. You know what it's like to be on a team. You know what it's like to be a part of something larger.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are enjoying Success in the Evening, and we are just packed
Are we gonna run out of time?
with history. Could you not cut me off while I'm doing my own? Could you
Can y'all handle y'all family business somewhere else?
Could you just slow down? Let me do my thing.
Okay, go
All right. We are just packed here at Success in the Evening. We've got history makers, history livers. I've got the first female black police captain sitting on one side of the table, and we've got the first female black assistant chief,
Fire chief.
Fire chief on the other side. And if you want to talk to them, please give us a call,
Montgomery
202
County.
of Montgomery County. Yeah, throw that in, borough. Montgomery County, 202-299-6673. We're going to do a music thing, and then we're going to come back and talk to them just a little bit more. Please join us. Up 3.
Welcome back to NLG Radio and Success in the Evening with Coach Ricky Terry. Guys, I told you we were going to make history. We got history sitting right here in this room, over 50 years of history.
Wait a minute.
Well, I mean, like in combined,
In combined
combined
years,
experience.
Oh, okay.
30 years over there, 30 years for the fire
Just say
department.
it like that.
Well, I have to say it so that little girls know. I have nieces that I am very proud of that talk to me, and they don't know if there's anything else out there to do other than work in a factory. And you ladies prove that it is.
Well, one of the things we gotta connect with these, because how do you aspire to be something that you don't have a connection with,
That you don't see.
that you don't see?
Well, we introduced them on the radio, and that's one of the reasons when this opportunity for a radio came up, I could sit at home and make a playlist and enjoy it and send it out on YouTube or whatever, and people could enjoy it. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be able to honor my ancestors,
Sure.
the people who helped me come up, by offering a way up for everybody else, and that was to bring people like you ladies, you leaders, into it. And why should a young woman of color even think about being on the police force? Why? Yes, Burl, don't.
Well, I didn't want to really interrupt you. So with that question, what advice would you give them? Like, I know I'm in the education realm here, and we have these young girls who, they're looking at the videos and are thinking outside the box. You try to take them on field trips. How can you get them interested into actually to be a policewoman or in that realm?
Just exposure. And I don't know what my sister Sonia would say. I think it just has to do with exposure. You just have to see it. I don't know if you had asked me probably a couple of years before I came to the fire department, I wouldn't have told you I wanted to be a firefighter. It just seemed like the next logical step. And while people talk about and make a deal about the first African American female and all that, I don't see it like that. It's just the next logical step for me. You just live in it. You just go, and you know that if on any job, and so not just singling out fire department or police or corrections or sheriffs, but any job, if you enjoy what you do, just go. Don't look back. If you think that you're smarter than your boss, then decide you're going to be the boss.
And work to
I
become.
like that.
And work to become the
I
boss.
like that.
JT, what you got?
Well, I was just gonna say, I've said it before on this show. We don't just blatantly give you all bullet points. So if you're not sitting down writing things like what you just said, the next logical step, if you're not writing that down, shame on you.
What is your next logical step? If you don't like what you're doing,
Do something different.
thank you.
Oh my
Goodness,
goodness.
that's pretty logical.
I mean, you ain't even got to be Captain Spark to know that.
Wait, should we wait 5 seconds for them to get their pen and pad?
No.
They have to come
Oh
back.
wait, no. Are we like
They have to come back.
2020 and we just gonna keep on moving?
They
And we
have to
gonna
come
get
back.
there, and y'all gonna have to catch up.
And if you want to be a part of the conversation, give us a call, 202-299-6673.
I want to throw something at what Chief Dorcas just said.
Well, come on then.
Toss it.
And it's something that you alluded to really early on in this conversation. This ain't easy. And I'm not just talking about firefighting or being the police. Going for what you want is not easy. You're going to run into some roadblocks. I just had this conversation with my sons today.
Bingo. Me
You
too.
are going to run into some roadblocks. There's going to be some consequences for some of the bad decisions that you're going to make. Not because you meant to make a bad decision, but just because it was bad.
Come on.
Because you're learning, you're trying to find your way. And then you're going to have to decide to be persistent because you really want it. So I'll tell you a very short story.
Come on.
That I took the captain's exam 3 times.
Yep, she sure did.
And because I was burning her ear all day. I'm surprised she
You
even
were stopping
got
her.
any ear, 'cause there was flames coming outside her head.
But we
and I was
encouraged each
burning.
other. We
She was
encouraged each
very
other.
encouraging to me because After the second time, when I thought that, I'm like, why didn't I get promoted off that list? I had decided I was not going to take the test
Because
again.
it wasn't your season.
Yeah, and so I did not know that. Well, I knew, but didn't want to. You know, when you're going through something, you got to fight yourself sometimes. You got the angel on one shoulder, the devil on the other one. So I ended up taking that exam a third time because my girlfriends were beating me up. Oh my God, they was like, "Girl, you don't take this," all in my ear, and I said, "Okay, I'm gonna take it." And I did really well, so well that I was at almost the top of the list.
Wow.
And that was a lesson for me.
But you didn't do well just because you did well. You did well because you prepped yourself. You studied.
I did. I really, really put myself into it. I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go all the way. I'm going to give it all I got. This is going to be it.
Okay.
And it's
Either
about
way.
that village.
Mhm.
It's about that village. All through my career in the fire department, there was always somebody there encouraging me. Do this, take that, you have to. I can remember one time, one of the guys who, African-American guy, black guy, who was more seasoned than me. And I was done. I was done with the fire department. I went to his office. I threw all my books on the floor.
No, you
I'm
didn't.
not studying. Oh, yeah.
You threw it to the
studying.
side.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I'm sick of this. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm tired of this fire department. And he just looked at me.
I know who that is.
And you know how when you're a kid, you throw yourself on the floor and nobody's coming to rescue you? Right?
You sitting there, you kicking
Right,
and looking.
and so finally I just got tired. I just was tired of kicking and screaming. And when I got finished kicking and screaming, he just picked up the sentence wherever it left off. You know? He didn't even acknowledge the fact that, and that's like life, right?
But you needed that.
I
though,
needed
didn't
that. I needed, but you know, people have talked to me about seasons. It's not your season. It's not your time. Everything has a reason and a purpose, and you're where you need to. You'll be where you need to be when you need to get there.
Mhm.
And I too have an African American, a black son,
Mhm.
and you know, young teenager, and I tell him life is full of distractions. They're distractions.
And it ain't
Don't
fair.
be, and it ain't fair. Don't be distracted.
Well, I like the way you said it. Success is hard. I don't care what occupation, I don't care where you are, whether you're in the projects or the White House, success is hard.
Success is hard.
There's no guarantee that if you do everything right, it's going to work out.
Nope.
But you don't get to throw temper tantrums long because the people who love you.
Nobody cares.
Well, thank you. Nobody
But you
cares.
know, temper tantrums have their place.
Yeah.
They do.
They have
Because
to
you
be-
got to release
You
whatever
do.
it is
They have to be
that's
carefully
in the
timed,
way.
though.
Yeah.
But you got to release them to people who understand who
I
you are as a
Yes,
person.
yes,
And
yes.
because I've
I
had
agree.
many people come in, and as a leader, some of those temper tantrums are cry for help. Some of them are just like in that movie Airplane, where you just got to slap them around and say, pull yourself together. Chief, has anybody ever had to tell you, pull
Get your
yourself?
mind together. Oh yeah, we tell each other that all the time. We tell, you know, I'll see Sonia in the hallway, and she'll have that one eyebrow up. Sonia is good at putting one eyebrow up. Or I'll be walking around, you know, just with that straight focus, and she'll tell you, sister, you need to get your mind together. Okay.
So what is we're losing time here, and it's killing me.
You can always come back, right?
It's killing me. But
can.
we're losing time. But here, first of all, I gotta say it again. We as a community, whether you like it or not, we're very proud of you.
Thank you.
Because I want my grandson to know that women can be firefighters,
Sure.
because we don't teach them that women can be if they choose to be.
Right.
I want my daughter, who is down in South Carolina, and she took the EMT test and it kicked her butt. But she's prepping, and she's gonna try again because
Yeah.
she really wants to help save lives.
Yep,
I
yep.
want her to know it's worth going back
It
for
is
and
worth
trying
it.
again.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
We have police officers, as I told you, that were in my family. I want my nieces and nephews, I want them to know that there are good and can be better police officers if they become one. If you don't see the change you want, then be
Go
the
in.
change.
Be the change. I
Look,
think
the
one of
next
the
logical step.
Right,
The
the
next
next logical.
logical
I think one of the
step.
things I've learned is that people, if you look at us as individuals and take color and all that out of it, people are complicated. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Because we come with all different kind of luggage.
All different kinds of luggage. And so, you know, I think we've really got it, to me it ties back to mental health. It ties
We've
back
done our
to
shows
mental
on
health.
that.
You know, who you are and how you are and what you've had to deal with to get to where you're going and everything you've had to do to arrive at that location is a factor. So when you're in public safety and you have a biased opinion, or you have some implicit bias, or you're not treating somebody fairly, there's a reason. And so I think we gotta go back. I think it's too broad of a statement just to say, you know, we need to change the, you know, firefighters, or we need to change police officers, or we need to change correctional officers. We really need to deal, I think, with this mental health aspect. I think it's a big time. And how people respond to stress, how people respond to their environment, what people are coming to work with. If you look in public safety in general, we have one of the highest suicide rates. So if you have somebody who's coming to work and willing, and at some point in their life or in their career that has thought about killing themselves, what, and they're dealing with that, and then, you know, what are they dealing with when they come to you? You don't know. In public safety, you know, we could have gone from helping somebody with a flat tire to running a car, and this is both of us, to running a tragic car accident where 2 children, the same age as of our own, have just been killed. And then when I come to you, you expect me to be patient while I'm listening to you tell me about, you know, the hangnail that's on your finger.
Exactly. Well, one of the things I'm curious in, your ability to do what you do is one thing. Your ability to help other people do what you do is an entirely different thing. How do you both see yourself as leaders in your given departments? How do you see yourselves?
I don't see myself as a big leader. I just see myself as being me. I guess I don't. I'm just me, and I'm
Okay,
here.
now your friend is looking at you
She
cockeyed.
is.
I'm just letting you know.
Like, what are you talking
I
about?
saw the eyebrow.
What'd you
I
say?
saw the eyebrow.
Oh, you saw the one eyebrow?
I saw the
That's the
eyebrow.
that's what I was telling y'all about.
Did you say what you talking about, Willis? So why don't you answer that question for us?
Do you see
Wow.
yourself as a leader? Do you walk around thinking, yeah, this is
I don't
No.
I think it's just part of my makeup. And I think it was shown to me. But I don't see, I think it's okay to embrace it. Some people need leadership. And I know that you give people leadership. You give me leadership. You lead me when I have conversations with you about, you know, what am I going to do next? Or I don't want to do this anymore. Have my tantrum with her. So I think that we need to embrace leadership so that we can be an example of what
There
it
you
is
go.
that we
Yeah.
want people to be when they come to the police department, whether they're little young black girls or little young white girls. And I want to say this just for the record. There's a woman that I have worked with. She was a civilian in the police department, a white woman, and I thought that she and I would probably never see eye to eye, and she ended up being one of my allies and cheerleaders. And I'm saying this to say that when we talk about race in policing or in public safety, it is very multi-layered. What we're dealing with. We're dealing with our own personal traumas, our own traumas from our community, our traumas as police officers that Chief Dorcus just spoke about. It's a lot of things that you have to deal with, but what I have found out, and I mentioned her, and I wish I could say her, and I wish I had gotten her permission, I love her so much, is that there's always room to learn and grow in our leadership. And that way we can be the best leaders that we can be for the people who we are mentoring. There's
Well-
always a lesson to be learned.
Well, I want to tell you, I've learned just sitting here that passion runs deeper than anything else. If you have a passion to do something, I got 2 dynamic leaders that are in public safety that have given you permission, if that's what you needed, was permission to go for your dream.
Permission to be a success.
Permission to be accessed, and you've been given it, because One runs into burning bullets. I mean, into
Burning
burning
bullets.
buildings.
Burning
Burning buildings.
Well, yeah, those two.
Yeah, those two.
And another one, you know, is coming to make sure that you are safe within your home. And when you aren't, she's gonna come in there.
Mhm.
She's gonna come into the community, and she's bringing her help with her. So, guys, if you had any advice as we close out, and I'm gonna ask each one of you, what would you share with the community of Montgomery County and the communities around the world in terms of fire and policing? Fire, we'll let you go first.
Don't get distracted. In life, don't be distracted. There's so many distractions. Don't be
stay distracted. You're
gonna be distracted.
As a
You're right.
person that has ADD, I can be pulled off track. And you know,
Don't stay
we're
distracted.
working with the coach. You know, he's like, "Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that?" I'm like, "Coach, I need to stay focused, bro. I gotta stay on target because I can easily get lost. So if you're going to be distracted, make sure that you have a plan to not stay distracted."
Mhm. And I would say, how about, this sounds so simple, to go into each encounter thinking, you know, I'm gonna act the way I want others to act towards me, regardless of their race or their background or how much money they have. Because I've traveled the world, and people all over the world are the same. They want the same things. They want peace and love and
Decency.
safety, and they want to laugh. And so why don't we approach our situations in that way, that we're going to treat people the way we want to be treated, and we are always going to do it out of love. So.
Well, go ahead.
We got a call. We had a caller come in just a second ago, and she wanted to know if you all knew Twana Allen, the Baltimore fire chief Twana Allen. Is that name rings any bells? Well, if not, she wanted to send her congratulations to both of you and her, all being women of color in prominent positions within your respective careers. And as far as
Thank you.
Thank you.
And as far as Coach, what you were saying, I think if I were to, it kind of came to me during the middle of the show. I want everybody to write this down real quick. You can beat. Not even don't put anything else behind it unless it's already your dream. Just put you can be, because I think we get so wrapped up in the community. We say, oh, well, we want to see this representation, and yes, that's nice for some things. Presidents, police chiefs, fire chiefs, yes, that's so nice. But just always remember, you can be. If what you want to be is the local, you want to be the best salesperson at the Apple store, be that.
Yep.
Be what you want to be and be the best at it.
Yes.
So just write down, you can be. I can be.
You know what I say. Be who you say you are. If you say you're a good person, be a good person. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed today. I know I have. We have really kind of gone out there on the limb today with leadership, with community leadership, with showing you a blueprint. And if you want to get to where it is you want to be, you got to understand, like both of these leaders said, success is not easy. You can't give up, you can't give in, and you can't give out. You don't have that much farther to go. Most of us came through 2019 better than when we went into it. Now what you've got to do is catch that momentum. And if you struggled a little bit, it's okay. You're going to make it. If you struggled a lot, it's okay. You're going to make it. Don't you give up. And for every young woman that heard this conversation today, I hope you will go to your nearest fire department. I hope you will go to your nearest police department. Go online and find out, what is it that I can do to present myself so I can be a part of the community, so I can help? Because if we're going to have a change in our community, it has to start right here with us. Right here. And so in 2020, whatever your dreams, I want you to go get them. That's right. In 2020, if you can dream it, you can have it. You got to work for it. You got to put yourself in line for it. Now, that's just the next logical step. That's what they said. That's what we're going to do. And One Due North LLC, your professional mentoring company, I want to help you. Ladies and gentlemen, we close out 2019 with sweet sorrows, we look to 2020 with open arms. As we change the calendar, we look to change and improve ourselves. We must take the next logical step to become all those things we want to become. And I would encourage you to go to our podcast and listen to this show over again. They have dropped pearls of wisdom throughout this entire show. And I want to say to my friends, my newly mended friends, please be safe. You went way outside of yourself to come here to share with us, and it meant the world to me. It mean the world to our listeners, and we just want to thank you and wish you a very, very prosperous new year. My name is Coach Rick Terry, president of One Due North and host of Success in the Evening, and I'll talk to you next year.
Up from a past rooted in pain.
Yeah, that's where I
A
want you
black
to go.
ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling. I bear
Dorcus likes
some
these. She had me always in this.
leaving
Oh,
behind
please open it up. My wife sent y'all some freshly mint cookies.